You ever watch those time travel movies and thought that would be awesome? To be able to go back in time and talk with your former self. Be able to give yourself some tips so that things, well, maybe don't turn out too different, but maybe they're improved in some key areas. Guys, in today's video, I've got 10 tips I wish I could tell my younger self. Now, in these tips, I'm not going to get ultra specific. I'm not going to go back to the time I was 16 going on a date with a girl named Kelly, and as I was going to pick her up, I reached across to grab some tissues and ended up rolling and wrecking my aunt's truck. No, I'm not going to go back and specifically give myself that advice, although that would probably have been useful. No, in this one, we're going to focus more on general topics. Now, I do need to let you guys know this is sponsored by Rogaine. I'm not sure if you know, but 32% of men under the age of 35 are going to suffer from hereditary hair loss. I know in my family, my brother Tom, my brother Steve, both suffer from this. In fact, I remember my brother Steve, I saw him when he got back from Marine Corps boot camp. He had the high and tight, but he was also missing a lot of hair on the top of his head. And that was the first time. I don't think I really said anything to him then, but I did notice as a young man. And I was kind of hoping, because my dad has lost his hair as well, I was hoping that it would skip me. Looks like I got pretty lucky. But for those of you that can take action, you definitely want to check out Rogaine. You're going to need to use it for about 4 months before you see any results, but it is FDA approved, clinically proven, something you definitely want to check out. Tip number one I would give myself is to pursue your dreams, Antonio, not somebody else's. So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a paleontologist. I knew I liked dinosaurs and it just seemed really cool. I also wanted to be an archaeologist because I loved the Indiana Jones movies. And then somebody somewhere along the way pointed out, saying, you know, you're going to be stuck in a museum and you're not going to make any money. And you should look to become a doctor. I don't know who planted this seed in my mind. But in high school, all of a sudden, I switched to wanting to become a doctor. When I went to college, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. The organic chems killed me. Chemistry I did not like. Next thing you know, I don't really want to be a doctor because I realized after I was having to go through all that work and I was looking at the path, I'm like, I really don't want this. This isn't my dream. So I abandoned that dream, and you would think I would learn from that, but I made that mistake again. When I joined the Marine Corps, I ended up going down the student naval aviator route, made it through Pensacola, was in Corpus Christi, and then blew out my sinuses in a T-34. And I think it was then when I realized, you know, I just wanted to be a Marine. I didn't necessarily want to be an aviator. I met guys who it was their dream. And when it was their dream, they put forth a lot more effort. They were a lot more dedicated than I was. Nowadays, I do have a dream. And that's what's interesting is dreams change. My new dream is to be the patriarch to my family. And I'm talking generations from now. I want my great grandkids to know that, you know, I've heard stories about, you know, great grandfather Antonio. This guy, he actually sacrificed, he built up our family so that we could have great success. I didn't really have a strong male figure in my life. So my dream now is to be that male figure, that patriarch in my family. Tip 2, be present and enjoy the moment. So I have a bad habit of daydreaming or always looking ahead. When you're not enjoying the moment, you're not there with your wife or with your kids, you're not truly happy. You're not really enjoying it. Yes, there is a bit of happiness that can be felt with dreaming, but I can tell you some of the happiest moments I've ever had are just with my kids, holding them. Like the other day, I'm with my daughter Katya. She's just laying on top of me and just like she's a year and a half old, and just to look at her and for her to fall asleep right on my chest. That for me is happiness. Tip 3, lose the guilt. So I don't know where I picked up so much guilt, but I always felt that if I am winning or if I am somehow in the lead or if I'm, you know, up there up front, I am taking from others, that it was a zero-sum game. Guys, I've now shifted my mindset to one of abundance, realizing that yes, in an athletic competition, the person who gets the gold technically does take from those others. There's a limited supply. Life in most cases is not like that. You can build things up. Why, instead of thinking of it like a pie and we're all fighting over small pieces, how about you build up the pie and therefore everyone's able to take their fill? Tip number 4, invest in yourself. So I think that the man needs to pay attention to everything he eats. He needs to pay attention to his body and the exercise. He needs to pay attention to relationships and those he surrounds himself with. So that last one I'm going to get into here in a few other points, but I want to talk first about diet and exercise. Guys, understand what you put into your body is what builds it up. So you want to build the habit early of eating the right foods so you can build muscle. When you go to the gym and you exercise, you know, I was really big on cardio, but I never really looked at weightlifting. Resistance training was something I never got into until I realized, you know, the body I want and if I actually invest a bit in learning more about this. I don't have to lift weights like we learned maybe when I was in football back in high school, but actually make it something enjoyable, do some resistance training that actually I enjoy, and all of a sudden I get the body. Now that I'm 40 years old, I'd have to say I'm pretty happy with my body compared to with when I was 19. Tip number 5, find great mentors and be a great mentor. So when I started my first company, A Tailored Suit, I have to say the first 3 years I was hitting my head up against a wall because I was the smartest man in the room. I was the only man in the room. So therefore, I didn't actually reach out to find people who had done this before me to give me advice. I was making stupid mistakes. I really wish I would have found people who were a little bit ahead of me to show me. So if you are just getting married, well, why not talk to people that have been married for 20 years so that you can get advice? If you're a new dad, talk to people who have raised successful kids and, in a sense, get them to mentor you. In business, seek out mentors. And to give back, I also try to be a good mentor. So I reach out. I've got certain people I work with who have shown me that they are worth my time, and therefore I give back to them. Tip number 6, learn to use money. So that's the key right there, is use money. Money is a tool. Growing up without a lot of money, it's something that I did have that mindset that, I don't need money to be happy. But you know what? I can tell you that having money and being able to use it as a tool, yeah, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy a lot of other things. You can also buy the freedom to be able to then focus in on things which give you happiness. Tip number 7, surround yourself with amazing people. You've probably heard it before, but you become the average of the people you surround yourself with. So always look to get into masterminds or to find people that you can surround yourself with who are going to raise you to the next level. One of the best things I did getting out of college was going into the Marine Corps because I surrounded myself with people who were trying to change the world for the better. Amazing guys that had gone to top schools. They came from families with legacies, and it really forced me to level my game up. But one thing to avoid are toxic relationships. Understand that that can also bring you down. Tip number 8, accept responsibility for everything in your life. And I know there are certain things that are outside of your control, but most things are. And when you stop blaming the government, you stop blaming local politics, you stop blaming religion, whatever it may be that you are putting blame on, and you say, what can I change myself? It's an amazing feeling because you realize that, yeah, you may not be happy with your current situation, but you know what? If you accept responsibility, you can change it. Tip number 9, always be a voracious reader. So I go through spurts with reading. When I was younger, I read a lot. Then I probably went through a couple-year period in which I didn't read too much. Then I read a little bit more. Then I stopped reading and got into audiobooks. Now I'm starting to get up in the morning and read more. But I would have to say, being able to have conversations with some of the greatest thinkers out there is going to insulate you from stupid advice. Now, there's a lot what I just said there, but think about that. If you are reading, I'm not just talking the classics like Plato or some of the older stuff out there. I'm talking also modern day classics, maybe going onto Amazon. But the point being is when you've read all this great information, you become more discerning about what is good advice and what is bad advice. Tip number 10, start now. So you've probably heard that saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. But the second best time is today. Understand, gentlemen, you can't go back in time. As much as I wish I could travel back in time, give myself this advice, I can't. But what I can do is I can start on the projects, I can start on my dreams today. All right, gents, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments what piece of advice you would give your younger self. I look forward to reading those. I always love learning from you guys and interacting with you down in the comments. And if you're looking to surround yourself with a great group of men who can help support you, help improve you, definitely go join our free Facebook group. I'm going to link to it right here. Other than that, gents, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.